So here we are now with our 3-point interior, and we're going to be putting more detail now in the composition to kind of finish out our little sketch, our 3-point interior sketch of our scene here. And so if you look over to the layer section over here, I've got obviously the regular background, the frame, which I'm going to demonstrate for you now. We're going to crop into this pretty good, and I'll show you why in a moment. Then we'll have a layer for the shaft, a layer for Vader, a layer for the Emperor, and then we'll have a layer for Luke Skywalker. I think I included on there. It might have gotten taken off, so we'll have that as a layer 2. Let me put that on there. So we'll put a layer here, and then one for Luke Skywalker to have him in there as well. So bingo. Okay, I've got that. All right, so let's go back now to frame. Now, again, if you're not using the Cintiq Wacom, that's totally fine. Use tracing paper. I just like to use the Wacom because I like to use the Wacom. It's fun, and it can be simulated with different levels of tracing paper or just one sheet of tracing paper. It's completely up to you, and you just lay it right on top of your image, and you're good to go. Now, what we're going to do here, let me see if I can bump this up just a little bit, and it works pretty well, is to look at the framing of our composition. We don't need all of this now. We've got everything. We're going to need it for measuring a little bit, to getting some placements in. And of course, we couldn't have all of this, all our vanishing points with to get our shaft without that. So we have to have that. But I want to crop in now and get a movie frame look to our composition. So we're going to leave out some of this material around it, and we're going to focus in mainly on the shaft. So I'm going to start drawing here a little bit and show you what I want to do. And so I'm going to start here at the top and put some exploratory lines here. I'm going to take my opacity down to maybe around 40% or so. And I'm going to gather about right here and draw across. This is where I want my picture frame to be, and through here. And then I'm going to bring that down. Let's see, maybe a little bit wider overall. So I'll overdraw to get that to work for me pretty well. And through here, and then I'll come on down on the right side. I'm going to bring a line down. I'm just exploring and probing exactly what I want out of this frame here. So right angle line down. So I want to get the entire shaft, but especially, that center part, especially that. I definitely want that part of it. So I don't, that's a key component. And of course, I don't want to take out our cone of vision or our eye level there, which the Emperor is going to be falling through. That's kind of a strong point of that. So that looks pretty good. I might bring this down a little lower. That might be to, let's say, here, all the way across. I think that's starting to work for what I want. So I can bring this across like so, and then crop it over here. Now I'm moving over to the left. You can't see me. There's my dot for my pen tip. Maybe about right. And right in through here. This looks pretty good. Okay, so let's look at that and see what we've drawn. That works pretty well. Now I could even go more severe with the movie screen ratio, which even gets more kind of landscapey. But I think for our purposes, I'll just leave it at that. So let me erase now this a little bit. We'll clean that up. Come over, catch that edge. That one's taken care of on the bottom. Right in through here. So we'll go to the top, in through here. Just take that off a little bit. Clean that up. And now we've got our frame. So that's what we'll be working into. So if I pull out a little bit and we look clear, so that's where I want our camera to be now. So, what's nice about this is another good aspect to this lesson is that with a drawing like this, when we overdraw in perspective, and what I mean by overdraw is quite simply when we use much more of the overall view and we draw the distortion without actually needing it in our composition, we can cut out frames, meaning that we can cut out a frame here, or we could cut out a frame to the top left over here. We could cut out a frame to the top right, anywhere we wanted to get the viewpoint that we wanted. We can't really do that with a camera or a video camera. So cinematographers are much more limited than we are as visual artists, which is pretty exciting, kind of thing to work with. So now we have our frame, our picture frame that we're going to work into. And then I think now it's instructive that we start in on our characters and work through. So I'm going to start out with the Emperor, and the Emperor, I'll go to his layer here, and we'll come in now. We'll pull this in pretty close, pretty deep, so we can start to see this. We can really start to draw through there, and we'll start to put him in there. Now we want him to feel like he's flowing and he's falling and he's going into the composition kind of this way. So he's being, again, tossed off this ledge of this bottomless pit air conditioning shaft, or we don't really know what it is. We know they're on the Death Star, I believe, the new one, and they're being thrown off. So we're going to have him being tossed downward. So his head is going to be about right here. So I'm going to put his head roughly in through here. And let me pull in, maybe if I can pull in a little bit further, that's even better. So we can really see. Maybe I'll take my nib down just a little bit to about 9 or so. So his head's here. So he's coming up with his body. His gesture is going to be moving kind of this way. So he's flowing. He's got that long kind of robe on. And so we're not going to go for a lot of detail because he's pretty decently far away. So we've got his head here. His whole body moves in this direction. And he kind of opens, maybe his robe will open up a little bit this way to start to open up his legs through here, almost kind of like a bell or a windsock, if you will, through here. And his feet would start to come out the way I'm envisioning him, his legs, the ending part of his legs, and then maybe his feet would move out. Of course, we're really far away, so we don't need a whole lot of detail. We might get a leg here coming through, and we might get a leg coming back, let's say this way, knee kind of ending here where my darker line is, and then we have him coming back maybe this way on over, and then his leg would kind of, the top of his foot or shoe in that one, and we'd see the bottom of the foot in the left, on the left side there. And then the arms might come back downward as he's starting to kind of free fall. He was surprised, obviously, and so maybe he's flying off into the distance here, like so. And we have him moving back in that direction. So there's not a lot of detail. I'll just put some contouring marks to get us to turn that figure around a little bit further, like so. All right, so let's pull out and let's take a look at what we've wrought. So we have, there we go. We have the Emperor falling down. So, he's about probably 5'8" or so, not too terribly tall, kind of in between, and so he's a pretty good distance away from us, in that shaft. And so again, we've placed him right inside our cone of vision, and his torso, his midsection, his pelvic region really is right in the center point of our cone of vision. So he's right at the center point of our camera at our eye level, and so we comfortably see him falling, and that's obviously by design as we're working on our sketch. This could be a storyboard sketch because you could take this through many different refinements. That's not the point right now. It's a finished sketch, or a drawing is a perspective study. Okay, so let me pull out just a little bit further, and let's talk now about Darth Vader. Let's set him in next. So let me get his layer. And so he's about 6'5". Now, we need a scale reference for him. I'm going to probably put him over here, roughly. So when he tosses he throws the Emperor, it's something like this in terms of a direction. You see that flow coming through, so I might leave that for a little while. And so we need now a scaling reference. So I'm going to put that scaling reference on the back wall corner. Now we have this line here. This is a good place for it because I can set his height there and then bring it over to the right and back over in perspective. I can always bounce it off something pretty nicely. And so I just wanted to show you that. So let's take, maybe we should change color, huh? Let's take a little different color. Maybe we'll make it red here like we've been doing and do it that way. And so now I'm working with this line right in through here, this corner line of the room. And let's say that this dot here is about 6 foot. You see that? Yeah, it comes through. Maybe about 6'5" is that second dot right there. So I'm going to pull out just a little bit so you can see that even further. So that's our red dot there. Now, that's how tall Darth Vader would be if he was pushed against that corner wall. So now we have a reference point I can use for his height. Now the bottom of the wall where it meets the floor, that's the bottom, that's where his feet would touch. So I've got a reference point there already as well. So let me draw from the left finishing point through that top red dot there, all the way back to the left finishing point, and then certainly out. That's where we really want. In through here, we'll keep on coming, and we'll just go pretty far right in through there. Okay, so I've got that coming through. So I'll put it in a little bit so we can see it better. So we've got that. So yippee for us, right? So what? Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to use this bottom line here, right here, as another referencing point to meet up with that and bring that up and then bring a line from the right vanishing point over to find Darth Vader's height at 6'5" over here. You're going to be surprised how big that's going to be and how big that's going to look. Okay, so now from the corner of this area right through here, let me come back right through this corner. We're going to bring a line from the vertical vanishing point up to that point. Okay, so from the vertical vanishing point up, go back to pin. So from the VVP, that dot in that bottom corner there, through that point here, we're going to draw a line up here. Keep on going and keep on going outward and extend it outward as far as we can for now. Just sketch that out. Okay, let me come in a little bit so you can see that. Okay, so we feel pretty good now. Now from the right vanishing point, we're going to draw a line from the RVP here, okay? And it's going to meet our first Darth Vader line from the corner here, right? Okay? And then we're going to project it forward out to this line right there, right in through here. So right there. So from that point to this point here, that's 6'5". So we've transferred this line of this height over here, 1 over to this height over here, 2. Now look how far it leans over to the right. We get a lot of nasty distortion, don't we? That's not such a bad thing if you want a view looking overhead, to get a real kind of bird's eye view, which we are, looking down maybe upon him. That's not such a bad thing. So that's relative 6'5". Now we can keep on coming over and put him a little bit closer to, I'm going to put him like right in through here, what I'm thinking. Now we can do it this way. So from the right vanishing point through this bottom point here, bring this, continue to bring that over, which we already have a line there for, right? And then we can extend this point over. Whoops, didn't make a mark there. There we go. We can bring that over, okay? So if I want to put Vader right here for now, it's 6'5". Now I need to go back from the vertical vanishing point. Remember, this is just referencing. So it's really nice to get an accurate feel for the scale that we set up right over here with number 1. That's what did it for us. That was our scale that I said was being referenced. So from the vertical vanishing point back to our dot here, up where it meets here, there's our 6'5" Darth Vader right in through here. Okay. So now I've got a feel for his height over. So I'm just going to sketch this now, kind of back to the left vanishing point here, and now back to the right vanishing point. The left vanishing point too as well. We'll bring this over, and this plane right here from the vertical vanishing point back. This plane represents kind of a plane. Well, not kind of, but definitely a plane for where we're going to put Darth Vader, right in through here to the red. So that's where he's going to be at 6'5". Now looking down. Now I might crouch him over. I might turn him over and do some things with him, but he's going to be right in through there. He might be a little bit cropped out too as well. Okay, so let's pull out a little bit and see what we have. So we know that Vader is going to be in this area. Here's his height at 6'5". His feet will be down here somewhere, but I might have him tilted over a little bit. And I'm going to put Luke over here. I thought about putting him maybe over here, but I think I'm going to put him over here and have him kind of sprawled out. Remember, he's kind of knocked out at this point, and he wakes up. Now, I think in the movie he's over here, but I'm not trying to be accurate. I'm just trying to compose. You can do this. You can follow along with me, which I prefer you do, for one, and then do your own thing. Make a different kind of shaft. Make a different scene. Doesn't have to be Star Wars. I'm just using that as a reference. Do whatever you want. Play around, tinker around with the mechanics of perspective. Know the rules, and then stretch them and make your own scene out of it. It's really pretty powerful experience. So there's my soapbox, and I was on it. Now I'm going to get off of it and put the Luke Skywalker is going to be over here. So I'm going to go ahead and work with him too, and I'm going to change his color, and I'm just going to put his referencing structure down. So there we have him. And go back to my brush tool, and then we'll pull in a little bit. Let's see, there we go. So we can work this. Let's pull up a little bit here. Now Luke is going to be laying down, so he's about 5'6". So at 5'6", I'm just going to play off of Vader's height here. And the way I might do that is just take this top line. If I took a compass, which I don't have, I'm just kind of playing around. If I took a compass and laid this down, this distance from here to here is about 6'5". So if I take, about a foot off right here to here, that's the distance of Luke Skywalker laying down flat on his back, kind of knocked out, unconscious. So what I'm going to do is just kind of recreate that. I'm going to push him forward this way a little bit, okay? And so I'm going to put his feet about right here, and I'm going to extend it. So this distance plus a little bit further, his head will be about right where that second line will be. So I'm going to erase the other one so we don't get confused. Here I'm going to erase, okay? And here I'm going to erase right in through here. And so the new Luke Skywalker is going to be these two blue lines now here and here in my composition. So I'll fit him relatively in this plane of my composition. And I got that just by bringing this line over and getting some measurement from that. Okay, that's how I did that. And so now I have really the dimensions of all our figures. So now let's go back to Vader, and let's go back to his color, and let's work now with him. Actually, maybe we should do it in black since we had, yeah, that's better, since we already have his structure and a color, and then we'll draw him, all of our characters in the kind of a typical black. I think that's better. Okay, so now let's pull in a little bit, and let's see what we can do now with Darth Vader's character. So I kind of conceived him as kind of, bending over a little bit into the scene, into the shaft, and he's just thrown the Emperor, right? And so he's now in the process of kind of recoiling, if you will, from that. Remember, his right hand, I believe, was the one that was also cut off too as well. So let's get a gesture going of that feeling. So I'm going to take my opacity way down to maybe 15%. And I might take the nib up a little bit, keep it broader at maybe 15. This is like using the side of your pencil if I'm sketching, like the palm method I've talked about in other videos. So he'd be leaning over a little bit, maybe like this. And part of his helmet, his head might be out of the picture. Now we're looking down on him, so we're going to get more of a bird's eye view again through that. So his head might start in over here. We might have his helmet in through here. So we're kind of seeing the back top. Here's kind of how it tops out, and we're seeing him down a little bit. Now he's coming up towards us, pretty foreshortened. So we're going to see him from, we're above him, so we're going to see that. So we might see a little side of his mask, his breathing apparatus through here, like so. So we'll see that, and I'll darken this in a little later. I'll keep it really light and blunt. So we have that bell-shaped part of his helmet, and through here is kind of the center back, right in through here. It's the way I see it. And then we have his shoulders, like the plane of his shoulder would be coming in this direction. So we'll square him off so we can see that. Later on, if you study with me in formal perspective, I'll show you how you can make a box, a 1 or 2 point box out of and then put any human form in that for very difficult kind of views. Here I'm just kind of shorthanding it, sketching it a little bit freer. So we're going to get foreshortened pretty quick as we go down from Vader. And so I'm drawing his torso and his back. Now his waist ends, and we're getting close to the top part of his buttock in through here. I'm going to draw him without his cape for a moment so we can see that. So he's kind of bent down and through. And we've got a dramatic view going on now. And so we'll get sort of the side plane of his buttock now moving like so and through here. And of course now his leg would come down like this, thinking. And if I don't like it, I just take it out and erase it. So we can always play around with that. So his knees here, okay? And so he's bent over, and so I'm going to push him down. And we're going to get even more foreshortened. And through here, and his foot, his ankle ends there. And this where we might get his foot, maybe to take his foot just slightly over the shaft, which would be fun to see because he would be almost falling over. Right in through here, okay? You see that? Here's the top of his foot, here's his ankle, and through here, and then the knee comes over like so, the thigh, and it gets wider as we cover. And then I'm drawing his left leg as we're looking way down on it, right in through there. Okay. So we have that, and I'm drawing him without the cape for now, and I haven't put his hands on, or his arms yet. And so the other leg, we might see a little bit of the knee here. Here's where the knee would curve over. And I want to put him, I want this leg to go back now in this direction, okay? So he's balancing his active view, or his action, that's what I meant to say, by this balancing act. So his leg would come through here, and then his foot would be maybe over in through this kind of area, right in through there. Keep it very general. Something like that where he's bending. I don't think I like that. Let's see. Let's change that. Let's go back to my eraser and we'll take that out. Let's reposition that foot. See what I can come up with. So he's coming back this way. You could almost take the foot out, but I think it would behoove me to put a little bit of the foot. Maybe it's digging either into the like so. He's really crunching the pavement with the structure with his toe. Yeah, I kind of like that, and it gets smaller too. I like that. So remember, we're getting a lot of foreshortening from the head downward, just like the shaft. So he's getting smaller very, very quickly. Keep that in mind. If it looks a little awkward, it should be a little distorted because he is coming down pretty quickly. Now we have the arms to work with. And we're going to do, let's see, we're going to pretend like he doesn't have the cape on still for a while. And then I'll do something with the cape as it flows up or something. And so he's kind of coming across his body now and moving this way. So his arm would come across as he's flung the Emperor over. I remember in the movie he picks him up almost over his head and flings him, and I've kind of sort of got that, but he's flinging it across like so. And so this is the swinging motion. So this arm would come back towards us. And remember, this is the one where the hand was cut off about from the wrist downwards. So if it starts to come kind of almost at us, it might look, we might start to get that coming at us. Okay, so that's what that might start to look like in through there. His torso is really squeezed against him, so he's got that. And then what would this arm do? This arm might come down and be not relaxed, but here's his shoulder. And through here, so I'm getting that. So I'm drawing pretty lightly and pretty bluntly, then I get a little darker when I'm going to get clear. And so this arm may be coming down. Here's the elbow, the bicep is right here, tricep over there, and then this kind of comes down this way. And it's going to get really small. So maybe it's closer, getting closer to his foot, but not quite. And then we'll put his glove, we'll put his hand kind of moving it back in that direction where he's really thrown out the figure like so. Thumb there, finger, and that's about all we see of the hand. Okay, so let's pull out a little bit and see how it looks. Good, that looks pretty interesting, I think enough. So he's kind of moved over, thrown the Emperor, or he's bent down, and then I can start to play around with the cape. I might pull the cape up so we could see most of his body, kind of like this, and maybe there's wind in the shaft. So his cape most of it might do something kind of like this, right? Where we've got that. And so we won't see that in the camera much. And that's a good thing because we want to see his body, really contorting and contrapposto and throwing the Emperor off the platform there, and as he was trying to kill the Skywalker there. So now let me go a little darker, and I'll darken this in with the inking of it. I'll go a little bit more further, maybe 60 or 70%, so we can see this a little. Yeah, that's plenty. So we can see this a little better. Okay. Not doing it full value drawing or anything. I'm just going to ink this out a little bit better so we can see it. Through here, and that's kind of where his hand was, and through there, and through. So we'll just make this a little bit more dominant. This might be a little big. Maybe we'll take it down. I'll put this to show that's the top back area, and through here. Just kind of got a shoulder pad thing here and around. Okay, through there, downward. Now the center of his back would be pushed way over to here. Okay, through there. So anytime I'm sketching out of my head, I think of it as nude, and then I start to think about gesture and then action, and then the detail comes later, like the cape and all. So there, that kind of material. So there's his knee through here, the back foot through there. A lot of stress on that, and he's kind of catching himself before he himself falls off the ledge, right in through there, and then I'll pull out a little bit, and then the cape was up and over, so we'll give a flow to that through here, right in through there. So we won't see that much of it in the framing. So his head's cropped out, and part of his body, just a little bit, is popped out too. So let's pull out a bit. So we've got our Vader character now in our shaft, and remember, we're looking up above them, looking down now on them. So we're above them looking down, so he gets foreshortened pretty quick. Now remember, he's 6'5", and so he's thrown the Emperor off, and the Emperor has fallen some, but he's 5'8", and so he's probably around the first layer, ending of the first or second layer, and so he's got quite a bit of ways to continue to fall. And so we get less distortion where the Emperor is, remember, because of our cone of vision, and I'll talk more about that informal perspective. But we get more distortion in the Vader character. We get a lot more distortion, actually, because of his positioning and because of the three-point perspective and the distortion that gives you, which I like that because it gives you extreme viewpoints that you just don't get all the time or every day. I think that's kind of exciting to see, and that's part of what three-point perspective is about, is this, getting these extreme views that work in reality that, quite frankly, we just don't get that often because we're not put in maybe a situation that puts us in that. But now in perspective, we can do that. Perspective works. It's proven to work. It's how we see. People think it makes everything look distorted. Not really. It's just because we're getting outside of the cone of vision far too often. And I'm way out of it with Darth Vader, and I want that because we have an extreme view of looking onto him from above, as if we're a droid maybe way up above, or a bird. I don't know if any birds would be out there, but you get the idea. Okay, so we've got Vader, and he's throwing the Emperor off. Let's go to Skywalker now, and let's go for a reclining view of the figure. I'll pull in now, and I'll pull up so we can work with him and see him, and let's work from there. So let me take my pen nib now back down to about 15% opacity, and I'll take the nib down to about, 12, I think it was, 13 maybe, something like that, not 17. Okay, here we go. 14 seems fine. Okay. So these are things that you have to do with the Wacom tablet that you don't have to when you're just drawing, but you know that already. Okay, so I think we have the color now back to black here, and we want to now work with Skywalker. So Skywalker is laid out. We're going to put his head here. I'll do a little diagram over here, and so I'm going to put his head here, right? Here's the top of his head, back here's his chin, and we're going to put his body like so, shoulders, and he's laid out like a box, kind of like here, and I'm going to probably tilt his leg, do something with his legs. But that's kind of the most simple way to think of it. That's kind of a 1 point, in this case, a little bit of a 2-point box, looking up from above, looking down on the figure. I keep saying that wrong. So that's kind of what I'm thinking in my composition, to keep that in your mind. And so what I might do also is make the head much bigger. So again, we're because we're working in 3-point, and because we're working in perspective, we're always working in perspective, but we're getting some distortion, is that we can push this idea a little bit further and make the head a little bit bigger and reduce the size of the feet. So let's work and see what we can come up with. So I'm going to put the head now about right here. We're going to crop out part of the head, which I like. I want to do that. And so we'll put his head maybe leaning away. So when I put this little arrow here, I'll put it way out here. And see that? That means that's the direction of the head. That's what I'm thinking. I'm just showing you what I'm thinking. So I want the head to be leaning in this direction, like so. So that kind of represents Skywalker's chin, but also maybe close to his nose, since we're looking down on him so much. Here's the top of the head. He might be leaning. His head might be leaning up too a little bit. So head in through here. Okay, top of the head. Here's the very top of the head. A little dot right in through there. And the nose might be bridge of the nose coming through, eye line right in through here. And I'll just tighten up a little bit where his cheeks would come down right in through. He might be looking back and dazed and confused, which is fine, as he should be. Okay, so his shoulders now, we might throw the shoulder off a little bit of the ledge, which could be, I think, more fun and more realistic. The shoulder might come down in through here. And so I'm just going to get a feel for kind of a box in perspective here and here. And then we're coming down in through this way. So I'm thinking about his chest now, center point of his chest in through here, kind of curved. And I'm thinking the rib cage would end about right here, that little line there. Keep it real simple. Then I'm thinking the waist, his waist to his pants, the end part of the crotch, where his pelvis ends, would come up this direction through here, kind of like so, because we're getting smaller and smaller as we come down So he might be leaning up, actually, maybe on one elbow, the way I see it kind of now. Maybe down and over. And so now with his legs, I actually make them come up. So this knee would actually come up, and it would actually get a little bit bigger because it's coming towards us up a little bit. So it might be larger. It might be actually higher than the head, probably would be. So we're tilting up. We're seeing the knee start to turn, right? And then we'll comes back down into his buttock in through here. This leg we might have to, we'll continue to show where it's just lounged and spread out. And here's the knee. And then we'll continue on further with the calf. Just a very simple diagram, a calf. And then the foot might be something like that. So we're staying within the relative 5 foot 6 inch feeling of him. So let's go out and take a look at what we're seeing. So that's what we're looking at. So the son now, Skywalker, is laid out. He's coming to as the father has finished the throwing of Vader, right? And we see them kind of all these three main characters together. So let's go back and we'll keep working on the Skywalker here. So we come down. Now, I've got a couple options. I could put the leg. I could go out this way, right? I'll just show you the arrows. I could make it come this way. I like it bent down a little bit, like he's starting to come to, and he's maybe pushing up one knee to start to brace himself for the other leg to come up, and so on. And so we could see this leg coming down in that direction. So you see what I'm thinking in terms of those arrows. That gives you an idea of how you can use direction and really gesture. So we'll bring the foot down. The calf would come about right in through here, really be foreshortened in this sense. So I'm drawing through to show you that. And then maybe the back of the foot might be here, like so, and then it comes out. So he's really kind of beginning to come to, beginning to push up, and then the foot might do something like that in the back. Here the heel, and then the front part of the foot, ankle being right where I put that dot right in through there. So let's pull out and see how that works. It looks like it's working pretty good as he's moving upwards. So we started out with this kind of coffin looking figure here, which I'll erase, and I might leave it just for diagram illustration purposes. And then that was my first conception, and then I started to play around with rhythm and movement of his positioning. Okay, so let's work on now maybe the arms, and we'll push him up so we can see this a little bit. We'll come over, and we'll start to get a feel for what we want to do with the arms. So maybe this arm I might think might be tucked in, so like so. And maybe it comes downward, so shoulder in through here, then tube down for the arm, and the hand might just be over and kind of hidden for now, kind of in through here, kind of just gets hidden. We don't see that much in through. Keep it simple too, not to draw all that. And then this arm, we don't want to cover that shaft, we want to see down below. So this one might be leaning down in and really foreshortened, where he's really steadying himself on the ground with that one. And so we'd see maybe this curve and see his chest like this in through here. So that would be the center of his chest, then over and through here. There we go. And I can start to tighten this up a little bit, so we don't really see much of his hands. It makes our drawing easier too, right? For sure. And then his hand is kind of resting down where we can't see it. It's covered up by his chest and other areas, and that works pretty well. And of course this foot's the smallest since it's furthest away, and so we've got some sense of the height of our foreshortening too, which gets pretty extreme as we go through. All right, so we're working it through. There's our viewpoint. So let me darken him in and put a little bit of more attention to him. And so let's go back in. We can see this further, and I'll just make the opacity now darker as we work through. Maybe take my nib down just a little bit. And yeah, that should work. So let's see. I'll bump this up. Whoops. Okay. And there we go. Okay, and this can now work really big and kind of physical, so you can kind of see what my thinking was in through here. And I'm not going to worry about any much detail of the clothes. So his hand, this is his shoulder here, and then down to his forearm, his hand's down. We really can't see underneath him and through there. As we come through here and downward. So we'll just kind of start to map out his hair. Forehead here, eye line there, nose line would come out and be something like that. Kind of just a simple triangle. And his chin would almost get covered up. So we get his cheeks here and foreshortening, kind of like a big barrel, a big foreshortened cylinder, and through there, coming back over. Okay, this is a challenging foreshortening kind of drawing with the figure too. So this comes over, so forearm in through here, and then the elbow down, and the hand might be resting kind of in through, kind of like so. There we go. And then the pelvic region, maybe there's a belt in through here, more along the chest, into the rib cage, etc. Okay, let's do the boot, ankle and through here and over. There we go. Okay, so let's pull out a little bit. So we've got now Luke there. That's working pretty well, and I'll put a little bit of shading on his head, just a little bit, so we can start to pull that forward too. Just put them all in shadow a little bit. And through there. Okay, so we've got our Skywalker figure coming to and reviving and seeing what has been wrought and what's going on. All right, so okay, so take a look at now where our frame is. So our frame, let's refresh that, and you can see how dramatic we've cut into our interior. So now we've got just our shaft mostly, and with most of Vader, he's a little bit cropped, and then we've got most of Luke Skywalker, which is a little bit cropped into there as well. And so now we've really got our composition kind of set and structure. We can have a little bit more fun with it. And I've got a layer for the shaft, and that that layer is for working some detail in that area. So let me go back to we'll do that, and we'll work some more detail inside the frame now. So we want to keep everything inside the frame. So I think what I'll do is go back and darken that in. I'll go back to my pen nib now, and I'll make that complete opacity. And we'll make it really dark so we can see darker and thicker, so we can really tell where we're working at, right in through here now, up and through the composition here, down below there, and eke it through nice and tight so you can see that come together. And you can see where we've cropped out our figures. There and down here. There we go. Okay, so now we've got a tighter box, or a darker box actually, if you will, that we can see through. Okay, so let's go now to the shaft. And now I think where a lot of the fun begins is that we can just begin to design all the little tubes and pipes and things that go on in this shaft and make it a little bit more exciting. You can spend a long time doing it. I'll do a little bit and hopefully get you started, and then you can take off and really have a lot of fun with it and do whatever you want with it. Just remember this, is that now we're just using 3-point perspective. If anything coming out of the left side goes to the left vanishing point, the right side, right, and then anything that you want that to come up will go out of the right vanishing point. So keep that in mind. So let me see if I can get close enough, and then we can get all our composition in. I think about right there where I can see it. And you can probably see that too as well. So again, if we took Vader, if we took him out, that's what would look like. We put him back in. Same thing with the Emperor being tossed down and out Skywalker out with our composition. Now we're going to put our shaft in. You could even take all of these out. We might even do that. We could take Skywalker out. We could take Vader out for now. And as we just work with our shaft, maybe we'll leave the Emperor in, go back to our shaft dimension, and then we can rework and come back and see how we did. That way our eye's a little bit clear, and we can add these things. That's what's nice about working with the Cintiq, is that you get that too as well. You get this clarity as well. All right, so I'll go back to my shaft here. I'll make this about 25%, and we'll leave it at 9. And now I'm going to work from, just start having fun with it. I'm going to start working with some panels up here from the vertical vanishing point coming over, and then I maybe want to dig in to the panel, go inside a little bit. So I'll go back to the left vanishing point and in through here. This would go back in through here and just have some fun pulling out things. So I'm using right, left, and vertical vanishing point in the shaft to create nuances with detail in my composition here. And maybe I want to come back and up and over to from the vertical vanishing points, maybe through here. So I start to cut out an opening, and maybe this comes in like this, and this goes back over. Now I'm just kind of quick sketching in through here. So maybe that's a shaft opening through there. It's like some kind of visual thing, and maybe this has bars coming down. This would go from the vertical vanishing point in through here. Maybe it's some kind of venting device, like so. And then maybe there's a tubing part that comes out of the center. And so which way do I want it to go? Well, it's got to come out from the left, probably. And this might come out in this direction, like so. And then from the left finishing point, like so. And this is a pipe that comes out. And you could put pipes, you know, all over. Maybe I could do one here. Just kind of figure out where you want your pipe to start out at. Let me go in a little bit deeper, and then just, you know, I can't see my vanishing point, but I'm just going to wing it. Now I'm just sketching, and maybe a pipe could come out through here, right, like so. There might be another device here, another electronic device. Maybe another pipe comes out in this direction, like so. And there's all kinds of little flex tubing that you could start to put on them, make it look really cool. So the more detail you put in this, you know, the better it's going to look really, really cool. So I'm coming out of the left finishing point here, right here. Put my ellipse on it for some more piping and flexing, and maybe this starts to curve down. If it curves, like the pipe curves down, then it curves down to the vertical vanishing point. Maybe it curves down like that, and then maybe it moves over to the right here, like so, and there's the thickness there for it. And then maybe it ends back going inside to maybe right there. And so you can have a whole system of traveling pipes and all kinds of fun little things that you want to do with it. Just remember that you have 3 directions to go to: the right side, the left side, or the vertical vanishing point. And that's really it. You really don't need to do anything more than that. You perhaps could if you wanted to use auxiliaries, but there's no need for it, really. And you may or may not know what auxiliaries are right now. If you don't, then you won't even need to use them. So that could come down. And then maybe there could be something coming off the ground over here coming up. And so on the ledge, maybe something over here, like some kind of little tower device that sits in and down. Maybe there was some kind of looked like some kind of module or manual thing where they, like a control board, where they, in the movie, where they had, you know, some of these over like that. It could be coming out from the direction. Maybe that's how they control the airflow or whatever it is, communications flow, or whatever it is that they were intended for. Just design, just aesthetic look, which is kind of cool. And through here, they had that over there. This is up a little bit higher, maybe just to feel that through. And so continue on. I think what I'll do is I'll leave off the video for a while, and I'll fill mine in. Right, so we could put Skywalker back on. Okay, you could start to see how cool this will start to look, and you could put Vader back on. And it starts to give it more detail. Just work within the frame. Don't work outside the frame much. You may have to put a few things on like we did with Vader, but don't work outside the frame much. And remember this, is that more detail in the top layers here, and as you go down the shaft, it gets less and less detail just because we'll start to fade away and get into atmospheric perspective. So a lot of detail up in the taller modular sections of the shaft, and again, as you fade away, less and less detail. Just use left vanishing point, your right vanishing point, and your vertical vanishing point to work it. So let's see what you do, and you can see what I do. You'll come back, I'll cut, and then I'll work for a good while, and I'll come back, and you'll see what I've done. Okay? All right, see you in a little bit. Bye-bye. Okay, so I'm back, and I'm about finished with my sketch here. And you can tell what I've been doing here. I've been using the 3 vanishing points, the left, the right, and the vertical vanishing point to help me design shafts and electrical conduit, water pipe, and whatever else is, in this particular shaft. And I've just been using that to run these things either vertically, downward, upward, across, and left or right. It's really pretty simple, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm just adding now a little detail to the composition. I might put some more things here on this bottom left plane going down into the chute in through here. So I could pull and go a little closer so you could see me draw a little bit, get some ideas, and then continue on, obviously, and further on with yours. That's the point. So I might put like another pipe coming out of this plane here, and so it's a pretty strong oval since it's in perspective, right? And then it comes out, and we can't see the vanishing point. Now, here's the thing you can do. See these other lines that come out through the lines going to the right vanishing point? They're about on the same kind of plane, so I can use those as a guide. And so I might pull this pipe out. It pulls out of the wall, and we'll do another one, maybe a bigger one here a little bit, but not. I don't want to hold down hide the shaft because I want to go to that vertical vanishing point. So maybe it would end here. Then I'll show you what I do. Let's run a vertical now down to the vertical vanishing point and up to the end of the pipe here, and the other end of the pipe in through here, and we get this vertical fall, right? Because we're just about right on top of it. And so maybe water is coming out through here, and then it's cascading down, hot water or gas or whatever it is that this circuitry is carrying. We don't know. Electric, nuclear, what kind of power, who knows. And so we'll give some flex tubing to it to give it some dimension. This would come down, and these would get real curved, almost really like circles. Flex, flex, all the way down until it just disappears into the vertical vanishing point, which is kind of a rule of perspective. All parallel lines in perspective will disappear to one single vanishing point. That's part of the rules of perspective, especially if they're level. Okay, here and here, and then we can come down and go down to the vertical vanishing point with the edges here. I'll darken it in so they're a little closer there, and maybe there. Be kind of a cool look through here. Turn these, and then this turns underneath this flexing pipe. It just keeps on going down until it becomes a circle, really, all the way down into the bottom there. Maybe make this in a little darker so you can see it. There we go. Through here, and then put some other things coming out like so. And I'm just working. Maybe this one goes to the left finishing point, back over. See, I've already got those little planar divisions on the shaft to help me. Those are kind of helpers, and they're kind of design things too as well. Use all the craft that you can to help design your composition coming up. Maybe some of these little tiles on the edge go all the way down to the shaft. And I think that's plenty, for you to get the idea of what we're trying to create, which is a very detailed shaft in this particular scene, and where the Emperor gets tossed way on over, right? Okay, so let's pull out and review, and then I'll let you go. So what we did was, again, we took the great pains of setting up in simple form perspective, which, if you don't know what that is simply a little bit more relaxed view of technical linear perspective. with some technicality to it, right? But not full blown. And you'll know what that means if you follow me along later on with full blown linear perspective, which is going to be very detailed and going to take hopefully a long time to get all the videos out. But just wait for them over time and work with them. And in between, kind of just a nice, really relaxed, kind of sketchy thing, which I'm doing now, and which I'll do later on, even more so. And basically, that's just sketching, and using the structure of perspective and understanding it so well that we can just start sketching without all the technical stuff, but sometimes we have to rely on the technical. All right, so we gathered our left vanishing point, our right vanishing point, our vertical vanishing point, right? And then we knew our eye level. I showed you where our eye level, and that's based on our vertical station point, and which makes our eye level, and I'll show you how to do that in more formal perspective to get 3-point to really line up. And of course, we're in bird's eye view, right? So everything is in a view looking from above. So if we take everything out, we can start and show you where we started from with our perspective, right? And then we added our frame. And so that's the only place that we're going to be, the camera now is looking, so we can actually crop. We could move this frame around. We could change the frame around. We could do all kinds of things with it, right? But we're going to keep it like that because we wanted the shaft. And you could add the shaft if we want. Or we added our figures first, Vader, right? And then the Emperor, or the Emperor first, and Vader, then Skywalker, right? And then we added the shaft, which I've done a little shaft on Skywalker too as well. And then we have our full composition there. All right, so there you go. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got something out of it. The point of this is of all these now, from 1 point to 2 point to 3 point, it's been quite a bit of a series now, and is to use these, gather information and practice quite a bit, sketch, and use these to strengthen up your structural understanding of space so that you can have a better, really good, solid feel of, how to draw forms in space if you want. If you want to even draw abstractly, this will help too as well. And get a better sense of composition, design, and overall structure with perspective. So now I'm going to move on. You'll see new videos coming up later on that are going to be very relaxed, where it's going to be very sketchy and very loose, and have a little fun with architectural kind of sketching. I'll show you that a little bit, and other ways that we can use perspective. Start looking for the video on how we see. That's going to be the very first start of formal linear perspective training, and it's going to be months long and probably years long worth of videos, and we go very deep into the mechanics of how we see, and then 1, 2, 3 point perspective, auxiliary perspective, and so on, to go deep into these processes. These can get a lot more complex, but I think a lot more interesting and fun as you go along. Okay? All right, there you go. Take care, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.